Hey guys, you're watching Gian Perez here on the Best Damn Movie Review. No spoilers, guys, so you can watch this without having to worry about what's going to happen in the film. Make sure you like this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not a subscriber, and ring the bell if you are. Leave comments, let us know what you think, and make sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter. I think people are excited because it's a superhero film, but no one's like chomping at the bit because Captain Marvel, aka Shazam, is not a character that everyone's familiar with. You know, DC hasn't super pushed him. His titles have not been super successful over the years. I think the longest running title he had was 51 episodes, somewhere along that line. I'm not sure. So it's been a character that DC hasn't been able to figure out. The history of the character itself, when it was at Fawcett Comics, he was actually bigger than Superman, which caused DC to sue Fawcett, saying because he had a cape, he was a rip-off of Superman, even though the character itself, the power sets are completely different. Because of that, DC ends up picking up the character, I want to say 20 years later, after it goes out of print, after Fawcett goes out of business. They do some kind of co-pro with Fawcett and eventually buy the character, bring the character completely over, and they start a new series in the 70s. And as I stated, the character never hit, which is unfortunate because Black Adam is one of his main villains, and he's an awesome villain. I'd like to see DC use him, but let's talk about the movie itself. So we start off the movie, and it's a little darker than I was expecting because all the trailers and stuff seem like really kind of like a kid movie, you know, which is a different feel altogether. All these superhero films, while they are preteen friendly for the most part, they're not really geared towards children. But this one, watching the trailers, made me think, okay, this is cool. This is going to be like Big, starring Tom Hanks, but in a superhero form, you know, something along those lines. And it does have kind of that, but it starts off dark. You know, got a lot of crazy things happening to start the film off, and I started getting a little worried. Like, I was thinking that it was going to go down the same path that every other DC film has gone down, and within a few minutes, no. We get right back on track. The film's fun. It's funny. I guess my biggest regret about this film is that my kid, who's almost 2 years old, is just not old enough to go to the movies with me yet, because he would have loved this. Like, same thing with Into the Spider-Verse that I watched in December. I loved it so much, and I can't wait for my son to be old enough to watch it with me. It just brought out these feelings that I haven't had since I was a kid. Watching your Home Alones and watching you know, Little Big League and Sandlot, you know, those kind of movies where you're a little kid and they related to you, but they were still good enough where adults could watch them too. You know, I guess kind of Pixar does a good job of that. It was just a fun movie to watch. I laughed. The action sequences were great. The heartwarming, heart-wrenching sequences were great. So I highly recommend you go out and watch it if you haven't done so already. And along with all the things I've already said about the film, there's one key element about this that makes it great. And it's that it stays true to the essence of the character, which I think is a big problem with what Warner Brothers has tried to do with these DC characters, especially with what Zack Snyder's interpretation of Batman and Superman, for example. You can change the origins of a film, you can change elements of the character as long as you stay true to that original character. And I think that's why you have success with films like Spider-Man and Iron Man, Spider-Man Homecoming. Iron Man and him don't have that relationship in the comic books, and I know a lot of comic book fans, purists out there, were upset about that because they grew up with Spider-Man kind of being his own thing in New York, you know, and the Uncle Ben and whatever, you know. But this, Marvel knew they didn't want to redo that over. They already have their big honcho being Iron Man, and they wanted to make sure he was a part of that, you know, because he's the established guy. He's the guy that started the MCU off. And I mentioned that, and I know some people don't like me making the comparisons between the universes, but I mentioned that because whatever changes they made in the Shazam film, it still stayed true to the character of Shazam. It still stayed true to the essence of Captain Marvel and Billy Batson and the Wizard Shazam, you know. And I think that's important. For me, that's what makes this, I'm just going to outright say it, of this new iteration of DC films, this is the best one so far. Hands down. No doubt about it. My favorite one, the best one. It might not make the most money. Most people might not even go and see it because they have no idea who Shazam is, but it's the best DC film since Christopher Nolan and The Dark Knight. No, I could nitpick on technical stuff for this, but I don't need to because the story itself was so great, and the movie itself was just fun. I just keep coming back to that word, fun. It was a good time. Everyone in the theater was enjoying it together. A lot of people like to complain about these comic book movies and movies in general, like forcing diversity into the film, and this film didn't do that. It didn't hit you over the head with that. At the end, like I said, no spoilers, but you get this moment of, it hits you that, wow, all these kids on the screen are different race, different ethnicity, and they're all together, and it's not a forced thing. It just feels natural. It's organic. It's just a good time. And then the end, like the end credit sequence, was one of the best credit sequences I've seen. Just a really good time, really fun, and you get some cool little cameos and things that are connecting it to the major universe, because we don't know what's going on with DC. As far as DC is concerned, it's what they've said anyways, is that they're like scrapping the whole connected universe, but this film doesn't feel like they're going to do that exactly. And you'll see it. You stick through the end. It has after credit sequence. I would say the first one, stick around for that one. The second one you can leave because it's something they showed in the trailer, ironically enough. It has nothing to do with the film itself. I mean, there's a joke in there, but like I said, if you've seen the trailers, you've seen that part too. But I don't know what they're going to do with the rest of this universe. It's interesting because it's kind of a bummer that they didn't start it all off with this kind of film. You saw what Aquaman did. It's made almost $1.5 billion now. It's huge all over the world. I personally don't think Aquaman's that great a film, but tonally speaking and visually speaking, it was brighter. It was just more vibrant than these other films that Zack Snyder was helming. And this film doesn't look like any of those films at all. It's its own thing. And maybe it's going to be the Guardians of the Galaxy of this DC universe. Because that was the same thing for me. Characters that people didn't really care about, but it was a super fun movie that hit you with everything. Action, hit you with emotions, it hit you with laughter, Same thing with Shazam. It's great. And this one's definitely more kid friendly. Although there are some parts that are a little dark, so make sure, be careful with your little ones out there. But for me, this one was great. And let me know what you think. I hear this film is kind of trending towards a bad opening. According to the trade magazines, it's going to be maybe DC's worst opening film, which is unfortunate because this needs a sequel. I need to see Black Adam on the big screen, especially if it's The Rock. Like, that would be freaking awesome if The Rock is Black Adam. If you like this review, please check out my comic book show, The Best Damn Comic Show. You can see it on the channel. And subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. I can't keep pushing that on you guys. But I will see you next time.